the only thing you have to do is to either multiply them with each other to get a constant, or divide them by each other to get a constant. So all you had to do, they said, they want an inverse proportion. So if it's an inverse proportion, are you going to multiply or divide? Multiply. So that's basically all you need to know there. Thank you. So you're going to multiply and see if you get a constant. So you're going to go 5 times 10, 5 times 15, 5 times 20, and so on, and see if you get a constant. Do you?
No.
No. Then we go to the next one. You say 5 times 60, 10 times 30, 15 times 20, and so on. Do you get a constant? Yes. So our answer was B.
So then you get 5 marks for that.
No, this is a multiple choice. So multiple choice are all out of 2. Always.
5.
Oh, there were 5 questions. Remember, I adjusted this so that I only left the skills questions. Yes. Oh. Who doesn't have the... It's the same as from last week. We just didn't actually get to do it.
Yes, ma'am. Exactly the same.
Alright. Guys, so remember, if you're looking for either proportionality or not proportionality or inverse proportionality, you're going to either divide or multiply. If you divide and you get a constant, what do you know?
It's
Directly proportional. If you multiply and they give you a constant, they are inversely proportional. Alright, let's move on. Then it said, explain the difference between accuracy and precision of the data obtained. So you can definitely expect something on this in your test. So what would accuracy be?
How close it is to the average or to the...
Okay. Or can you say to the average?
Yes.
No.
So because if you are calculating an average, is that the true value? No. So you need to check how close your average is to the real value. Yes. So accuracy is how close your answer, yeah. Your answer or your average. There's not always an average. But if there is an average, then you're not going to say how close your answer is. You're going to say how close your average is to the actual known value. If you write all of that, then you must get full marks.
Like,
Yeah.
I thought they were asking how accurate is, like what's the accuracy and precision for the data obtained, meaning like the table.
Well, they have it. No, this is a different question. Guys, please remember that in the test as well. Don't think that the previous question always, this is 1.1. So this table has nothing to do with this question. If there was a table here, yes. So please make sure your exam skills are good on Thursday. Then they're asking us about precision. So what is precision? So that was accuracy. Precision, yes.
No, it's when all your data is like the difference.
How close it is to each other.
All your data is below 10%.
Okay, so all the data are close to each other. When I say data, that would be also again our answers or anything like that. So this means therefore, and this is the important part, you're going to have a small range. And that is what we look for when we mark it, small range. For the pink one, you're going to have a small percentage error. Okay, so please remember, if I ask you to prove that something is accurate, yes, you can say the answer is close to the real value, but how would you physically prove it? What do you have to calculate? The percentage error, yeah. And if it's less than 10%, then you say, great, it's accurate. The range you can calculate. So if you have a bunch of values, the series of values with the smallest range, how do you get the range?
Biggest minus smallest.
Biggest value minus smallest value. So the smaller the range, the smaller the range, the smaller or the higher the precision, the smaller the percentage error, the higher the accuracy. Okay, this question I said you won't really get, but quantitative is all about numerical answers.
Now, do we write down in the test to get our marks?
Not get a question like this in the test.
Oh, okay.
Oh, thank you. That's good news.
So both these questions will be
Maybe
in the
it was emphasized in the previous book, I'm not so sure. So quantitative, you care about the numbers. Qualitative, you just care about your the observations and things that you make. You don't care about the actual numbers. So an example would be if you're doing a chemistry experiment, if you start with 50 grams of something and you want to know how much it produces, you need to measure the mass accurately. But if you just want to see, is the mass increasing or decreasing? Do you care about what the change in the mass is? No, you just want to say it's increasing. That would be qualitative. Okay, do you understand the difference between the two? But it's not so important for tomorrow's test. Oops. All right, so then the next question, they've given you a cylinder. So at the moment, you guys haven't done many equations. So chances are you are going to get something with a circle in it. But we can't expect you to memorize those equations either. So if we want you to talk about the area or whatever, then we will, give you the formula, yes. So please don't go and memorize it. The surface area of a cylinder is given below. So it will be exactly like it is here. They tell you that you've got a cylindrical graphite electrode that has a radius of 3 millimeters, a surface area of 16.9 centimeters. They want you to calculate the height, and you need to report the answer to 1 decimal place. So when you get a question like this, guys, the first step is always to do what?
Write down the formula.
Thank you. Always go and write down the formula first. Why would you do that? Absolutely. 2 pi RH. Hello. Just come write your name on the list for us, please. So they're giving you that equation. So you will get one like this as well on your test, obviously. They don't ask us for the area in the book. Thank you. Please don't do that. What I just did, you don't understand how often that happens, where people copy something from the question paper wrong. Be very careful that when you're copying something from the question paper, that it still looks the same. So yes, absolutely, it should be a plus.
Madam.
Yeah.
So since the radius is 3 millimeters.
Wait, let's go through it. Please.
Since
Yeah.
the radius is 3
No,
millimeters, you
yeah.
have to make it centimeters or keep it 3 millimeters.
Okay, so we have a problem here. He's absolutely right. We've got centimeters. That's the next thing you need to do before you substitute your values. You need to check that everything that is distance is in the same units, and these are not. And if there's any other things that have the same units, they must be all in the same quantity. Now, this is given to us as millimeters, and this is centimeters. The question didn't specify give it in millimeters or give it in centimeters, so you can choose. If you can choose, which one would be the easiest one to change?
3 millimeters.
Yes, because it's not squared. So I would, if I was you and I had to write a test on this, I would say let's change that first. How many centimeters with 3 millimeters?
0.3.
Nice. 0.3 centimeters. You don't have to use those powers of 10 if it's something that you know from grade 4. You all did millimeters to centimeters in primary school. So you don't have to go and do the whole power of 10 thing there. Just write your name for me as well. Alright, now what's our next step, guys?
You substitute.
Substitute first. Do not touch the maths until you've substituted, because you get that free mark that you guys are talking about. The next mark is for actually the conversion, but we'll do it in this. So you always get a mark for conversion. So if you did it separately like that, that's fine. Anywhere you do the conversion, you'll get the mark for that conversion. So we've got the conversion mark, so we've already got 2 out of 4. Now we're going to substitute, and we're going to say the area where the area was. So that's going to be our 16,9. 2 stays 2. Pi stays pi. You really don't have to put a value in for pi because it's on your calculator. R is given to us as 3 millimeters, but because we want the units to be the same, we decided we're going to do 0,3. H is what we want, so we leave it as an H, plus 2 pi, and then this R must be squared. Nice. Please don't forget the square. That also often happens. Okay, now the rest is actually your calculator's job. You do not have to show any other maths. But if you want to, I guess you can. So what I'm going to do first is just so I'm going to write it out. So if I look, I wanted this alone. Do you want me to put an extra math step in? Okay. So what I would do in my first, or actually let's just write it all down. I would swap the equation around so that my unknown is on the left-hand side. So you write everything like it is there. When your maths becomes better, you will also start leaving out all this thinking. So you're welcome to leave it out now already. Okay, but swapping the equation that the unknown is on the left-hand side, because there's our H that we want. What color are we going to use? There's our H that we want, but we want it on the left-hand side. So I've literally just swapped the 2 sides around. Now I'm going to get rid of everything, yes. I just swapped the 2 sides around. So you change nothing. If you say 2 is equal, 5 is equal to 2 plus 3, 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. You don't change anything if you just swap the 2 sides around. We haven't moved anything to another side really. We just swapped here.
And the equation is I just divided by itself to get the answer.
Yeah, I'm doing extra math steps for people that's asking. So you don't have to do that. Okay, guys, then I'm going to take away, always you take away the pluses and the minuses first. I'm doing algebra here now, but some of you do need to revise that. So 16,9. Now there's a plus on this side. So I'm going to minus on this side to get rid of it. Therefore, when I move it to the other side, I need to minus 2 pi 0,3 squared. Please, are you with me with the math still?
Yes,
All right. Now I still have all this stuff that I don't want because I only want H. Because all of this is on the right-hand side, you need to make sure that you put your fraction. Let me just write it quickly. So when you put that line in, it must be everything. And this is why I like brackets, because your calculator loves it as well. You can never make a mistake if you put stuff in brackets in your calculator. And then we are dividing by 2 pi times 0.3. So here we're going to divide by 2 pi times 0,3. And the rest becomes your calculator's job. Say again? Please, can you all take out your calculators and see if you agree with 8,67, what would the unit be? Centimeters, because it's a height.
Hey, stop grabbing my stuff.
Such a smart chap.
No, guys, you can do solve for x if you want. Let me show you the mark allocation. You get a mark there, you get a mark there. Then all the way from here to that answer is where you get the next mark. All of this maths, nothing. You get no marks for the maths. Okay, I can do it in one step, guys. I just did it in a lot of steps because people wanted me to.
That would be in centimeters squared or centimeters?
That's what I'm saying. You're doing exactly the same as what you did.
Thank you so much.
Oh, see, there's where the problem comes in. Did you actually get the answer?
That's what you need me to say.
Yeah, see, that's why. Because it's the minus that you haven't actually minused now. No, guys, you need to get rid in maths. I'm sure they teach you that when you do algebra, that you get rid of the pluses and minuses first before you divide. Do they teach you that?
Sorry, ma'am?
The pluses and minuses, you get rid of that from the unknown first before you divide.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you mean?
So 2x minus 2, you first do the negative 2 that side before you do 2x divided by 2.
Yeah, so I couldn't have divided by this first and then minus that.
Oh,
That's wrong.
Yeah.
Come on, science.
So please be careful. So guys, this would only be 4 marks. 1 mark for conversion, 1 mark for formula, 1 mark for substitution, and 1 mark for the answer with a unit. Yes.
I'm so sorry, it's my fault, but I missed it. You said something to this boy. You said you don't have to do something.
The plus.
Plus and minus.
So pluses and minuses you get rid of. You couldn't divide by this first and then minus that. The maths then would be wrong. Okay.
Then what happens to the square there top at the top, man?
Where? This one.
That one. 2 pi bracket 0.3.
It's there, bruh.
Oh.
Sorry, did I leave? Yeah, there. It's still there. Yes, guys, don't throw squares away. I am very guilty of doing it, so I thought he's meaning that I did it again, but I didn't. Happy? Okay, let's move on.
Now,
Yeah.
in Thursday's test, will they give us the formulas for average speed, average velocity?
No, they will only give you the ones you need. You guys haven't done speed and velocity yet. Guys, listen.
Oh, sorry, test. Sorry.
Yeah. Listen, this test was on vectors as well. So that is why you will see that there are other equations. But whatever equation you need on Thursday, you will get. So you don't have to go and memorize any equation, please. Just remember that. Not even percentage error. What? Gradient, you don't get, no. That's something that we assume you can do from maths. Y2 minus Y1. That we won't give you. Yeah? Alright, guys. So the next question gives you a graph. Now remember, your graph is 6 marks.
And you said we don't have to study. You don't have to study for like the formula or the equation for gradient.
No, gradient, like what I mean is the Y2, no, that's, I don't think we give you. That's just something that we assume you can do because you've done it in maths a lot. Alright guys, so here's the graph. They tell you that they are dropping a stone from various heights and they're measuring the velocity as it hits the ground. They are giving you an equation. Now remember, I said this to you the other day already. You don't have to stress about the equations. We give you the equation. You just need to figure out how to use it after you have plotted your graph. So for this one, they say, okay, so let's read. They say in the question, they drop a stone from various heights and measure the velocity. Whenever you see the word measure something, what variable is that?
Dependent.
Dependent. Thank you. You always measure the dependent.
Come on.
Your children are dependent on you. Do you measure your height every day, or do you measure your children's heights as they're growing? You measure your children's height because they are your dependents.
Good example. No. Some people are like,
It's a new one. Okay, so they're asking us here. So the measure the velocity. So velocity is going to be our.
It's going to be our dependent variable.
We measure the velocity, so that's dependent, and the various heights would be my independent. So the answer for 3.1 would be the height. Okay, oops. Then it says, it's important to know that the stone is released with no initial velocity each time. Name the type of variable represented by the initial velocity. Controlled variable, constant variable, fixed variable, because they tell you that it has to be no. Yeah. Then from the equation, state the relationship between the height and the velocity. Let's look. Height and velocity. You've got velocity on this side and height on that side. Let me just go back here. I have velocity there, and I've got height on this side here. But which one is my dependent?
One on the right, left, sir.
Okay, so the velocity is my dependent. So now, can I say, how will I say this relationship if they give me this equation?
V is
It's direct square.
Guys, remember there's a square. So if they're asking you about the relationship, if you leave out the things that remain constant, you know G is constant and you know 2 is constant. How do I know 2 is constant?
because it's not in the it's not on the table.
You're trying to think way harder than it's supposed to be. How do I know 2 is constant? Can 2 ever be 3, guys? Can 2 ever become 3?
No, ma'am.
Can 5 ever become 20?
No, ma'am.
No. So any fixed number, any number that's not a variable is fixed.
But they give you.
And this is where you go, they give you. So that 2 is always constant because it's 2. It can't become 3.
Come on, to
G
say.
is constant as long as I'm where?
On the same planet.
On the
gravitational
same
force.
planet, actually. So yes. So am I going to drop the one rock on Earth and the other rock on the moon, and then I'm going to go to Jupiter? Okay, so that would be, it would be unrealistic for you to say that that's a controlled variable, the same planet, because the experiment's happening on Earth. So be realistic when you say these things. All right, so 2G is constant. And please, this is important for the test. To spot the constant. So the 2G is the constant. So if I leave that out, remember, if I leave out the constant, what does the equal sign change into? Yep. Equal sign. Why do I only see 2 people that know this? You do know, okay.
It's direct
So
square.
whenever you take away the constants, the equal sign can change into a direct proportion. So V squared is directly proportional to the height. But now, be careful. If you go and read the question again, you need to check what they are asking. They say, from the equation, state the relationship between the height and the velocity in words. So how many marks can I get for this answer? 0, guys. I didn't follow this instruction. Okay, so this is using symbols. So we're in Thursday's text. Make sure if the question says symbols, that you use symbols. And if the question says words, you use words. Yes.
And I feel like the equal
turn into that? Like,
Direct
all the
proportion.
time?
All the time. Except if there's pluses and minuses. Yeah, I could see that. I think there are others as well. They just don't want to admit.
This is math. So when you say it in words, I can say velocity squared or
Is directly proportional to height.
But this guy just.
The square of velocity. Yes, I remember that from class.
Guys, you're never going to say inverse square proportion or square proportion. You just say what the value is. The square of the velocity, that is the square of the velocity, is, yes.
When could you say velocity speed is the
Yeah.
So sorry, square direct. It's square direct. Square direct proportion.
No, you never
Never
say
use
that
those
ever in your
words.
life.
Son, you never say what?
Don't say it.
I know it's in your book.
You know,
But you don't say it in the test. Please say it in the test, please.
You never say what?
What do you never say? You never say.
But not if you plot v squared. If you plot these, it will always be a straight line. I'll do the graphs now. Guys, so the square of the velocity is directly proportional to the height. So let's just look at these two graphs. So if you are plotting, and this is also important, if you're plotting v versus the height, then it's going to look like that because they are not directly proportional. It's v squared that is directly proportional. So when you go and plot v squared versus the height, because they are directly proportional, you will get a straight line through the origin. And even more important, what would this gradient be equal to?
2.
To what?
I hear you to sound.
Yes.
Ma'am, would it be fine if you said velocity squared or that's wrong?
Yeah, that's fine.
Alright.
As long as you say squared.
I asked the question.
I'm really sorry.
If it's right.
It depends on my mood.
Alright, guys, so, yes.
You trying to make it like a straight line, but like just listen, it's like
Listen, guys.
Like, and when you make it like a straight line, but when you say B, directly proportional to 1, 2, 1 over B.
No, that's inverse proportion, not square proportion. Okay, so not in this case, yes. But those others where you swap the sides around that we had earlier, that was an inverse proportion. Yes,
Ma'am, could you answer this call for my mom?
sure.
Man, when you're looking at this, when we do this, you make it look so easy.
But it is this easy.
Ma'am, this test going to be very similar to this.
Yes, there's a graph, there's dependent and independent, there's conversions. Your graph though will not count 7. Your graph will count 6 marks because in your matric paper you need to get used to the real thing now. So in your matric paper your graph will count 6, so we're going to make your graph count 6 as well now. So when we give you the graph, sorry, let me just-
Can I please go to sleep?
yes.
See how we go.
Please get back my things.
Go quickly.
So you see how we go.
No problem.
You've got good boys. Only 2 of mine are here.
So remember my thing.
So for these, my class is just me and Ishmael.
Okay, let's move. All right, guys, let's carry on. Yes.
How many physics classes are there? 6.
4.
4. Yo.
And this 2, Mr. Moses, 2 for Mr. Moses, and then 1 for Mr. Schwartz, and 1 for you.
All right, guys, I'm waiting again. You're wasting your own time. All right, so now here it says, plot the. Now please remember what I said the other day. When you see the words plot the, you go, hallelujah, they're giving me 3 marks for free. And your graph counts out of? 6. So we're giving you half the marks for free. What do I mean by that? Yes.
Man, the 2 variables, when you plot them on the side of the graph or below and on the side.
Yeah, this is the heading. When you see plot the, that is all you're going to do. You're going to change that into graph of.
Man, we can't just say V chart.
You can't just say? Okay, graph of, and then they're giving you the heading. We give you the heading in the question, guys. That's why I'm saying 3 marks. Graph of. And you don't even have to use the words. You can say graph of v squared versus height. And we want it at the top of the graph because it's not biology, it's science.
And
It's-
Amaratic biology is at the bottom.
They don't care, we do. Okay, now, guys, I'm not done with the 3 marks. That's only 1 mark. The next mark, the way they give you the instruction, whatever they put first, even if they didn't tell you that it's on the y-axis, whatever they put first and whatever you put in here first is always going to go on y. So v squared is always on y, and then you go check what was the unit of v squared, and you find that in your table. It's always there in the table. Meters squared per second squared. Yes.
Ma'am, do you have to say like velocity, or do you can you just say V squared?
I said you don't have to use the words. The one that you get second is always on your x-axis. So here you're going to put height. Where are you going to get the unit for height?
Table, man.
In your table, you got it there. So you put it in brackets and it's meters. You don't have to underline these 2. Okay, then, guys, you say again? Yeah? Okay, guys, then, the next thing is, please don't forget this. Please, this is a very important number in life. A lot of people leave it out. That 0 counts for the x-axis. You guys are wasting your own time. That value counts for the x-axis and the y-axis. Now, when you go to the v squared, please choose the right one if there are 3 columns. You just look for your highest number. You don't care about the rest. And you can see there's my highest number, 960, and you count. Let's see if we go up in hundreds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 900. 1,000. Am I over halfway?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so I know I can use it. If I use, let's do 200s and see where I would be. 200, 4, 6, 8,000. I would end there. Is that over halfway? No. Then I need to know I've chosen something wrong and I need to choose smaller. So, and if I burst, I need to choose something bigger. We spoke about this the other day. All right, so here we're going to just go 100, 200, and so on. The next one goes to 20. So can I go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10? Oh no, I didn't want to do that. Can I go in ones? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Burst. Let's try 5. 5, 10, 15, 20. Am I over halfway? No. So do I need to choose bigger or smaller? Smaller. So I'm going to go 2s. Why not 3s?
You're not allowed to, man.
I don't have a 3 rand coin, guys. So I'm going to go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Am I over halfway? Yes.
And can't you do for 2 grades, that's 5.
Yeah, but then it's duplica. Not going to be wrong. Okay, what he's saying, skip 5, skip 10, skip 15, skip 20. You're still over halfway, that's fine. Alright, now we're going to plot our graph. I'm going to do it pretty rough and fast. Remember, we are using crosses. So 100 for 2, so 200. 5 is 250. So 5 would here be between the 2 here, between the 2 there, 250. We check suspect points. So, yeah, if your points look weird, we don't check every single point, but we check the general look of your graph, and then we mark according to that. For 8, it's 320. So for 8, there's 400, there's 300. Every line is 200. So that means it's about there. If you're not within one small block, we take a mark off. 13 is here between 12 and 14. That's 676. So we go to 600. That would be 650. So it's about there. Then the next one, guys, you can do it roughly. You guys are fine with plotting, I think. This is why I'm going fast. 16 is 780. So 16, there's 700. 750 would be halfway. 780 would be about there. Then 20 is 9. Is that 960? Yeah. 20 is 960, so it's about just over halfway, so it's about there. Now you can see your points are not perfectly in a straight line, and we try not to give you a perfect straight line because it's an experiment. We want to see the trend. So when you draw the line, you're going to use your ruler. Please, I want to see one straight line, not 20 of them, one straight line. Did we say that there's a direct proportion here in the beginning?
Yes.
We always give you an equation, and you can predict here already if this is going to go through 0 or not. You already told us in your answers that v squared is directly proportional to h. If they are directly proportional, what must the line look like? Straight line through origin. So you can predict that. Don't make a cross at 0 because it wasn't one of our points. But you now know, because you have predicted it already, that this is a straight line that goes through 0. So you can start at 0 and you draw one straight line. And please remember, we draw it all the way to the grid, not to the corner. But you draw it to the end of your grid on the other side. You don't stop at the last point. You carry on to the end. Now, when you do this, you still try and get most points on your line of best fit. So, if I do that, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points on my line, but I'm ignoring that little one there. And that's not nice. We don't ignore any points. So, I'm going to list you down. So, we're going to move it down a little bit so that there's 1 point on top of the line, 1 point below the line, and the others are kind of touching. Yes, what was your question?
And I was going to ask, do you use marks if your line of is like not in the center of all your dots?
Yes. If all your points are below your line of best fit, like mine was in the beginning, you'll lose a mark. If you go point to point, you'll lose a mark. If you don't draw your line to the end of the grid, you will lose a mark. If you don't use a ruler and draw one straight line, you will lose a mark. Actually, you won't lose a mark, you just won't get the line of best fit mark. So the 6 marks, guys, are there. 1 for the quantities, 1 for the units, 1 for your scale, and 1 for your line of best fit, and 1 for your plotting. So can you see that? That's where we get the 6 marks from. Yes. No, please no. You use a pencil. The question paper even tells you that you use a pencil because you get 1 extra grid at the end of your paper. If you mess up this one, please use the one at the back of your paper. But if you use pencil, you can always rub it out. Yes.
Going back to the unit, isn't it simple to say using the relationship of, because when I think this is like it has to be the specific order.
The way the question gives it to you. That's why I say we are so nice, we give it to you in the right order. Why mess with something that we give you correctly? We give you plot velocity versus height. Why would you now go and say height versus velocity? That would be wrong. Because we tell you to plot velocity versus height. And the one that's first will always be on y, the one that's second will always be on x. So that's what you use. Happy? Okay. Guys, don't mess with something that's right. Okay. Now, the next question is asking you to get the gradient. Now here, please, I want you to choose nice points for yourself. Mark them differently. I'm marking the matric pracs, and they've been doing it for 4 years as well. And I see little things like that. Is that marked clearly? It really isn't. Okay, so please, I always say, make it easy for us to give you marks. Go and find another color or another symbol and choose nice points. That point there is beautiful because it's on the 2 dark lines. Then you can go up and find another beautiful point. I don't really have one.
0, 0.
But I know that I have 0. Yes, you don't always have it. And if you use 0, still show it. Please, you can even use a highlighter and highlight it, but that's not enough yet. You need to go and show this is where it goes to my x and my y axis. So here you're going to say x1, x2, y1, y2. Or what you can do is you can put the coordinates in, 0, 0, and here it would be 4, 200. Or you can do both. Then you make it very easy for us to give you the mark if you do both. And now we calculate our gradient.
Either way, we should get all of it.
You will get all your marks as long as you show it nicely. Now you will see that the gradient, because they say include the units, it counts 5 marks. You don't always have to include units in a gradient, but they ask you to do that here. So if I go and do my gradient, please, what's the most important thing again? Formula. Please write gradient equals change in y values over change in x values, or y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You don't have to write both. Either one of those will give you 1 mark. Then you fill in your values, and because you did the coordinates, you've made life so easy for yourself. You can just go and read it off, 200 minus 0 over 4 minus 0, and that gives us 50. I hope 50. I don't know if 200 divided by 4 can be 500, but 50. And what would the unit be?
No, it'll be 50, but then you know, v squared.
Guys, I'm just going there.
V squared per meter.
Yes. Guys, if you want to get the unit, remember the unit is the unit on the y-axis over the unit on the x-axis. The unit on the y-axis is meters squared per second squared. The unit on the x-axis is meters. You can legit just leave it like that. You don't have to simplify. If you really want to, you can cancel one of these meters with one of those, and you get meters per second to the minus 2. Happy? Okay. Guys, yeah, we kind of, and that's 10 marks. 6 for the graph, 4, actually 11 marks. Your test is out of 60. So that's 10, more than 10% of your paper, just plotting a graph. Yeah.
So they can ask what the physical meaning of gradient graph.
Not if I have any
Is it
say.
doubleness?
What is the physical meaning of this gradient?
It's 2J.
Yeah, so does that have a meaning? It's just values. So I can say what quantity represents the gradient. What quantity represents the gradient? 2G. Yes. So then, guys, what normally is the follow-up question is they will ask you now to go and calculate G. So they would say use what you have up to now and get G. So you know that the gradient, you just told me that the gradient is equal to 2G, not G, 2G. We know that the gradient is 50. So if 50 is equal to 2G, what is G equal to? 25 meters per second squared. Was this happening on Earth?
No, on Jupiter.
Jupiter. I was just thinking. Why was that bugging me?
Because probably the next.
Isn't it gonna be like 9 point something?
Yes, G is 9.8 on Earth. So guys, if this was happening, and this is also exams